I'll call the meeting to order of the Oxford Historic Preservation Commission. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. We're all holding one. Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is there a second? Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye. The agenda is approved. Approval of the minutes from the October 21st meeting. We did not have a meeting in November. No cases were presented. Is there a motion that we approve the minutes as presented from the October 21st meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections that anyone would like to see made to those minutes? If not, all in favor of approving them, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is staff report.
So we need to pick a new date for our January meeting and our February meeting because we have President's Day and then
Martin Luther King Day and President's Day.
Martin Luther King Day and President's Day. So for January, we normally move it to the following Thursday at 5 p.m. So for January, that would be Thursday, January 23rd. And then for February, it would be Thursday, February 20th.
February
20th?
20th.
So I would need a motion to do that, if that, or discussion about a different date.
Do those two dates sound appropriate for the commission? February the 20th?
23rd? No, 20th.
January 23rd, February 20th.
Both Thursdays, the third
Both Thursdays.
Thursday.
So,
I will be out of town on the 23rd of January. Not that that matters, but just FYI.
Able to attend virtually or?
Yes, I could do that.
that's terrific. Is there a motion that we move the January and February meetings to January 23rd and February 20th?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda are administrative approvals. The staff has made 3 approvals. Are there any questions from any commissioner about any of those cases listed under administrative approvals? If not, we'll move on to public hearings. Who is that trying to take over?
Could you, Jeremiah, could you mute for us? I think we're getting feedback.
Somebody trying to take over our meeting. The first public hearing is for case 802, COA requested by Carter Myers, Stuart Paval, exterior additions and modifications to existing structure for property located at 1005 Fillmore Avenue. Kate?
Thanks. So the applicant seeks approval to build a new outdoor covered patio at the rear of the house. The applicant received a side and rear yard setback variance in support of this project at the December 9th meeting of the Planning Commission, so earlier this month. 1005 Fillmore Avenue is described in the Historic Resources Inventory Survey as circa 1890, but it is listed as non-contributing in the South Lamar Historic District due to extensive alterations. The proposed plans include removing the existing deck and relocating the rear exit from the side to the rear facade to allow for the new outdoor patio addition. The existing house structure would be extended to form the roof of the new patio, which will be supported by wood columns at the rear with the addition of a brick chimney and fireplace. Proposed materials include wood tongue and groove on the underside of the new patio roof, siding to match the existing house, brick for the new chimney and fireplace, and wood steps and landing at the new rear exit. The existing wood deck to be removed is not original to the property. The proposed structure is simple in design and will attach to the existing addition using an existing roof line. The materials chosen are appropriate for the home. The new addition will be hidden at the rear of the property, aside from the new chimney, which could be slightly visible from the street. And it's the opinion of planning staff that the proposed design meets the recommendations of the Oxford Design Guidelines. I also included 2 letters of support from the neighboring property owners that were also included with the planning commission case file. So staff is recommending approval of the COA as proposed, and Leslie Pobal is here, as well as the applicant. Anyone has questions for them?
Thank you, and welcome. We're glad to have you both with us. You've heard the case presented. Addition to the rear and part of the side of the structure. It's a non-contributing structure. The floor is open for questions or comments.
I don't have any problem with the job at all. I think it's perfectly fine. I have 2 questions. One is, I don't quite understand why that old of a structure is non-contributing. A, and B, at what point would it again become contributing, if ever? I don't know. It doesn't appear, I grew up here, and it doesn't appear like it changed much over the years. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's been worked on, but it hasn't changed drastically. So why is it non-contributing?
It's an interesting house. I mean, Stuart Pohal, we were talking about it, and he told me that he found some indication that it used to be stagecoach style, maybe? Yes. Yeah.
Right, I knew that.
I don't know, I don't have the survey in front of me, but I would assume it's just been altered over time, and that's why the consultant listed it as.
Everything's been altered.
Non-contributing.
Most things have been altered over time.
Yeah,
They
I hear
contribute.
you. She bases those, I want to say not ratings, but she bases those conclusions on a list from the Secretary of the Interior Standards. So I have to assume that that's why, but that doesn't mean, I mean, we see non-contributing buildings all the time that still retain importance, and that doesn't mean that just anything can be done to them.
Does it ever begin to be contributing
Quite
again?
a few that
Yeah.
actually went back to being contributing in this last survey that we did. They were non-contributing, but improvements and work of this commission have actually led them to be reconsidered as contributing.
I don't have, we would have to pull the Sanborn map if we have it and see if maybe the footprint has changed or what. It's possible that, you know, what changed about it was done a really long time ago, you know?
You know, I wondered the same
Yeah.
thing, and in reading kind of the details,
Yeah,
the house was stuccoed in 1995,
I would assume it was wood frame originally.
and I would imagine
Yeah.
putting stucco on the exterior would change it enough to take it off the contributing roster.
That being said, Joel, it's a good point, and what we could do is we could really begin a list of properties as we see them and when they come up, properties that that we're aware of that should potentially be reconsidered at some point when we resurvey, so then that way we at least have a record of them.
But I don't think, I mean, it's not a slight to the house or the age of the house, you know, I mean, that doesn't mean it's not important.
Are there any other questions of the homeowner or designer for the COA? If not, the chair will recognize a motion to approve the COA as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The COA is approved. Thank you. Next item is public hearing for case 804, a COA requested by Harry Guckert for exterior renovations for property located at 1417 Fillmore Avenue. Kate?
Thanks. The applicant seeks approval for several changes to the existing building, including replacing the existing windows and doors, replacing the existing asbestos siding with hardy horizontal siding, and to paint the existing brick veneer. 1417 Fillmore Avenue is listed as contributing in the South Lamar Historic District. It is described in the Historic Resources Inventory Survey as one-story, 4-bay frame with brick veneer and asbestos shingle, gable front cottage, circa 1965. I've broken out the proposed changes in your report, and I'll just take you guys through them quickly. One item that must be discussed by the commission is the request to paint the currently unpainted brick veneer. The design guidelines state that brick and stone that have never been painted should remain unpainted, and commercial sealants or waterproof coating should not be applied. However, the new construction guidelines don't make this recommendation in the new construction masonry section, and the commission has allowed that some new construction projects feature painted masonry. Brick veneer buildings in our historic districts fall a little bit in between those two recommendations because obviously it's not a brick frame building, so we're not as concerned about the moisture infiltration that we would see in a existing brick frame structure. That being said, painting a veneer is introducing an unnecessary maintenance problem because it's going to require painting, touch up, etc. And once it's painted, it's fairly permanent. The commission has, in some cases on newer buildings, approved painting a masonry veneer, so it sort of falls in a in-between area. The commission should also consider the replacement of asbestos siding with the new Hardy 1x8 horizontal siding. The current design guidelines do not address asbestos or its replacement. However, the National Park Service brief that I attached to your report does recommend fiber cement and composite siding as a replacement for wood and asbestos siding, and that's commonly approved in our historic districts for new construction. Regarding replacing the existing windows and doors, the Oxford Design Guidelines recommend retention of historic windows, particularly historic wood windows. The windows do appear to be wood single pane windows, and according to the design guidelines, should be retained and restored. The front door is clearly a replacement door, and staff does not object to its removal or replacement. So staff recommends approval of the request to replace the existing siding, and requests that the commission decide whether it's appropriate to paint the brick veneer or not. Staff recommends that the existing windows are retained and repaired. Should the commission choose to recommend replacement of the windows, we request that a condition be added that a window and door schedule will be provided at the time of permitting, because we do have a specification for the manufacturer, but not for the number of lights, the width of the muntins, etc. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the staff report, and Harry Guckert's here on behalf of the applicant. Who has questions for
I
that?
do have a question.
Thank you. Question,
My question is on the removal of the asbestos siding.
Uh-huh.
The state of Mississippi requires certain things to happen for the removal of the siding. So I would like to make sure that in anything that we approve, it's with the specification that it would go along with Mississippi law,
Okay.
which I sent a copy of it to Ben.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain our building department requires that as well, but maybe Harry can speak to that.
Yeah, Ben was gonna make certain that that does happen.
Yeah.
But there, to do abatement on
Right.
siding, there are certain things that need to happen, which begs another question. Should it be in the guidelines instead of staff saying approval?
It's addressed in our new guidelines that we just had completed. They just haven't, they're going to be adopted tomorrow by the Board of Aldermen. So we're not currently under the new guidelines, but we do address it further in the new document.
Okay.
That's been a big issue, you know.
Then if this is approved, I would like it stipulated that they would have to follow Mississippi law on abatement.
Yeah, do you want to speak to that, Harry? I mean, I'm sure you've,
We'll hire a licensed abatement company to come do it, present and show you. I mean, they're gonna put a dumpster out there, covered, where asbestos suits, you know, we'll do it right.
Well, thank you, I really appreciate that. But, and I would like that stipulated.
The suits will be contact.
it seems that the issues that we are to consider are the replacement of the siding, and we've had a good comment about that on the process of abatement. The other two, one is painting the brick veneer. Part of the structure we can see on the left of the front facade is the brick veneer, and I suppose that's probably the only place on the house that brick.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's a block on the belt.
Harry, would you come to the podium, please, just so you can be recorded for the records? And introduce yourself if you would, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Harry Guckert, Guckert Construction Management out of Batesville, Mississippi. And this house is the Lawrence home, Sean and Patty Lawrence from San Francisco, California. As you notice, there's some block around it. We're gonna need to paint the block too. We're gonna redo the block. The block is just all deteriorated. We're gonna redo it from underneath, shore it up and lay some new block. There you go. You can see a good picture of it over there. All the siding, of course, gone. And she, as Kate said, she wanted us to go back with the same pattern on the window, so that's what I priced.
Okay.
The only thing I did a little differently and would like to ask permission for is on the front window, can you show the front view? The window on the left by the brick is a fixed glass window. I'd like to ask permission, can I put 3 windows, cottage style, just with the same grid all the way across rather than having that wide open clear glass? It just doesn't look real good to me.
Okay.
There was one thing that was left out besides, I would like to ask for permission to come on down across from the left corner to the door, 4 feet out. From the left corner to the door, you can't tell it, but it already sticks out on the right-hand side right there. It's already sticking out to the right of the front door. That piece is sticking out this far. That way, when they pull in the driveway on the left and get out in the rain, they can walk under a covered roof over to the front door, because it doesn't have but one door in the front. I had that on some plans. She may have missed it, but that's it.
I don't think that was on the plans.
I mean, I had it on, well, you may not have had the plan, but I had a,
So do you want it to go, you want the gable to go all the way to the far left?
A flat roof, Harry?
the flat roof
Slope
coming
roof.
off, the flat roof coming off of the front. You see how it's coming straight towards you where the fixed glass window I was just discussing?
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it out, change the pitch just a little bit like this and come out this far. That's it.
So it's gonna run basically from the door all the way over to the gutter.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll come back to that and give staff a moment to
I'm sorry, Kate, I probably
He
didn't.
basically wants
digest
to bring
that.
this all the way over to that.
So let's, while they are huddling about that, any comments about painting this brick veneer? Is there any objection?
You know, I hate painting, that's one of my pet peeves is painting brick, but in this particular one case here, I kind of don't blame them. And
Exceptions?
small of an area that it is,
Yeah,
this is an exception to the rule. You know, we do new houses, we don't allow old houses, but in this case, I could see that flying, just my 2 cents worth.
I agree.
good.
I definitely agree. It's
Nobody
a real
objects.
busy pattern.
Nobody objects. Let's see, the last issue, in addition to the overhang, is replacement of windows. The staff is recommending that you repair those windows and reglaze them. I went over there recently and knocked on all, I could only go to the front of the house. But they don't seem to be rotten, they just seem to be in need of sanding and reglazing. But I would like any comments from any commissioners about the windows. And the issue would be replacing the windows with windows that would look exactly like this.
Yes, sir.
Or asking the builder to repair and reglaze the existing windows.
Those
Gary, I have a
windows are
question.
single pane windows or single glazed windows. It seems like you want to give the owner an opportunity to put like double glaze in the windows. I'm sure those windows are drafty and they let a lot of heat and air into the house.
I can see replacing 3 sides, the 2 sides in the rear, and restoring those 3 sets of windows on the front. And then if you want to put storm windows over them, and make historical storm windows that you can, that are made for this sort of application too.
I think that's a really good solution.
And the three new windows that would go where the picture window is now, would, in your scenario, it would match the existing windows, wouldn't?
I'm saying the
single
three,
pane.
all those windows I'm looking at right there on the front would be restored, not replaced.
And he's added something to our, to
I
his
think
figure.
Joel's saying that.
I'm just
he would
saying
not
you
be
could do
affected
that and then
by
replace the ones in the back look kind of rough in the picture, best I could tell.
They're definitely rougher than the front. I went
Yeah,
up
the
here.
front looked okay, the back doesn't look so good.
Okay.
You can kind of just see some rot in it, you know.
I think it's important to retain the picture window because it's really a contributor to the style of the house.
60s era.
It's very 60s.
So on the three windows you're replacing the big glass with, will they have to match the other existing windows exactly in the front? Or could you put the three new style in between the two older windows? You get, remember, so the big glass in the middle, he's asking to replace that, take that big glass out, and replace it with three units.
Correct.
Look, I don't think Joel's comment was supportive of allowing that picture window. to be
Oh, okay,
replaced.
okay, I didn't get that,
Is that right?
Correct, that's correct.
okay.
Yeah, so when he's talking about the three sets of windows to be restored, he's just talking about.
Yeah, the three on the front of the house.
Yeah,
The
which
two
is actually 1,
twins
2,
and
3,
the-
4, 5, 6, 7 windows.
Yeah, correct.
So,
Restore those, replace all the rest with white.
And leave the big glass is what you're.
Yes.
so if I understand what I think is a consensus here, when we bring this for a vote, we would be voting on replacing windows on either side of the house and the rear of the house, but on the front of the house, restoring the existing windows, including the picture window, which would be left as a picture window.
Correct.
So restore these all across the front, but I can go on and install new ones the rest of the way around the home.
If we approve it, yes.
If you approve.
Yes. So, I'm not sure, we normally don't have changes to COAs at official meetings. What's the position we should take on that? Meaning the new roof. Should we consider it? Should we add it to the COA?
I think you guys can consider it.
Okay. So, Harry, just to kind of repeat what's been said, it would be a roof that would have a slight slope to the front, but it would appear to be basically a flat roof across there.
Basically flat, not a lot of pitch, because I don't have much pitch to be able to bring it out and be able to continue to keep the,
Right, run into the window.
I'm gonna have to go back in, pitch back into the shingles a little bit where you don't run into the window, where the window doesn't look so low. So I'm saying,
So you're gonna take off some of that soffit, that's.
yes, for some of that cornice across the front and the downspout on the left, I'll take off and I'll just change the pitch. Where the main roof is like this, I'm just gonna change it, it's not gonna be much of a slope right there, it's just this far. It's not very far, so it won't be a big drop.
And what material would the roofing be?
The same as we have, I was gonna come back with cornice, with all my cornice to be hardy board to match my siding, which is a concrete board. And I was just the roofing would be the same as it is now, which is because it's only 4 feet, I'm not real worried about it.
But I mean, you're not,
Probably gonna be the same color. I'm gonna put a new roof on this anyway. The shingles are old. I'm gonna put a brand new
But it'd
asphalt
be a
shingle. So it'll be
shingle.
asphalt shingles to answer your
it would
question.
be asphalt shingles is what I was asking, yes, thank you.
Jack, maybe how the commission approaches this is that Harry provides staff with a drawing of what this looks like.
I think
So that we
yeah.
can see it, because I
Okay, great.
You might have drawings, so,
Okay.
but you,
We can't.
depending on what this is, yeah, we don't have.
But we could vote,
And
Delegate it to
staff-
staff.
based on your approval after the fact.
We may have concerns and want to put it on the commission for full consideration if we have those concerns.
Hold on. I saw it a little earlier.
That helped a little. So if the other one's better.
But that's it.
So this is the gable. And
This
you're
is the
coming-
valve.
Yeah.
This is with, yes.
Okay. Do you want to pass that around? Sorry, we don't have a overhead, so. But it looks to me, Harry, like,
That particular drawing though shows it with the whole gable coming down. It's not supposed to be that, it's supposed to be, that,
The
that
front
particular.
door's supposed to, yeah, over here. Yeah. I think we need a front view.
I think we need to.
But no bigger than this house is, right? See, if you change that existing roof line, I don't wanna change the existing roof line.
No, I think we're gonna
Just pass on that for
come
now.
to get a motion that will, bring staff approval after the fact into this.
That's fine.
it's like a correct drawing.
Correct drawing at a later date for you to look at it.
And I would do the more front elevation.
Yes.
So I think what we need now is a motion that would alter your COA.
So.
No, I'm sorry. It would not alter your COA. It would approve what you've asked to do with the siding and with painting the brick. The portion about the windows in your COA would be changed. Somebody listening so they can give me a motion back. Would be changed to approve replacement of windows with same design on the sides and back. Retention of all windows across the front to be repaired and reglazed.
You're kidding about this, us saying it back to you.
No, is somebody writing that?
Yeah.
And approval of a new roof that would cover a certain distance on the left side of the house, beginning with the door and ending at the side of the house, with staff approval.
So that's 5 things. Did you get that?
Ma'am.
Did you get this? So replace the existing
Right now,
siding,
Oh, yeah.
siding
the
approved.
siding's approved,
Paint the, well, they haven't voted yet, but paint the veneer. would be
paint the veneer,
approved.
paint the brick and the
Sheet,
siding.
Yeah,
Siding is approved with the caveat that
the correct asbestos.
done in accordance with Mississippi law.
Retention of the front windows, and you're gonna fix those, and then replace the side and rear. And then, the change you've been talking about for the roof line, we can approve a drawing for that.
And new front door.
And the new
And the
front
new
door.
front door.
Okay.
You specified the make of the front door, but maybe you have like a spec sheet or something we can look at, or a picture of it. Yeah. You don't have to do it right now.
so
They're gonna delegate to us. Yeah.
You'll approve that,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
And so the motion should include that the staff will have to approve the new front door
Yeah.
as well as.
And the window muntins and the roof line.
Yeah, I just want a point of clarification on the replacement of the windows on the side and the rears. They're to be consistent with the style of what's there. They're just new windows.
No, in style of
What's
what's there.
there with the muntin size and everything.
Yeah, style, profile,
Yep.
operability.
That's part of the motion.
Or the windows that are existing on the sides and the rear.
Okay, so windows across the front that are single pane, can I do something to make them double insulated? Is there anything I can do,
No.
like, nothing? I can only fix
You
those
can add
and
historically
repair.
correct storm windows to them.
Yeah, they're interior storms you can add or exterior.
Into-
If you do an exterior storm, you could just come to us and I'll do a separate
I don't-
application. If you do an interior storm, you can put it inside.
We'll do the,
Like
we'll do the
ones
interior.
Or, okay, but there are plenty of, you can get an exterior one that is low profile, and we are happy to work with you on that.
Is that gonna look better than a replacement window that looks identical to the original window?
Well, I don't think it's about the look, I think it's about retention of
The integrity of the
Yeah.
windows.
But yeah, I think Pat Tatum put them on his house, they look great. There are just some out there that look really good, and there's probably some pretty bad ones too.
And they've
Not
come,
careful.
I mean, you're a contractor,
you
so
can
you've seen
paint them.
them more than me, but they've come a long way, even in the past 10 years. They're not like, they
I
don't have,
haven't seen a recent.
yeah, they don't have to be like bulky steel, metal, you know. John Abernathy just built some wood ones for his own house that are really nice looking. We can work on that.
And you wouldn't have to come back to this commission for that. They can approve the storm windows.
The question I have on the siding is, I'm gonna do a lap siding just as it is, but I'm gonna do solid pieces rather than tiles. Those old asbestos are little bitty tiles, you know, I'm gonna do solid pieces, horizontal siding. But it's gonna look much better, thank you, thank you.
I think we agree. It's going to look much better. So you've heard the motion.
Somebody so moved.
So moved.
The motion has been made.
Second.
There's been a second. Is there any other discussion or questions about that motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I do think with all the conversation we've had that we have an understanding of what we're approving.
Yes, sir.
And Harry, do you have an understanding of what?
I have an understanding of what we're,
Well, Kate will,
He'll get a nice letter then.
yeah, now, Kate, I suppose, we'll put it in a format, a written format.
You'll get a letter, and you know how to find it.
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Those are our administrative approvals. We have a request for a complimentary review by Jeremiah Wade for property located at 503 North 14th Street.
Okay, where do you want it?
And I believe
That's fine, we can do
Mr.
the, yeah, start with the
Wade
second.
is joining us virtually.
Yes.
Mr. Wade, are you there? Jimmy is recusing himself. I'm sorry.
We are here.
Welcome, Mr. Wade. We appreciate the opportunity for a complimentary review. Kate is going to present the COA as presented to her, which will begin the opportunity for our conversation.
Yep, so as Jack mentioned, this is a complimentary review for 503 North 14th Street for the commission to provide feedback to the applicant on quite an extensive set of plans, which include changes and additions to the existing structure, and the addition of a new, they're calling it a carriage house. It's a garage with an accessory dwelling unit in the back. And this is a lot that fronts 14th Street and also has frontage on Adams. Correct? Is that right, Ben? Adams? Yeah. The existing building is described in the Historic Resources Inventory Survey as circa 1900, one-story frame with asbestos shingle, Queen Anne Bade cottage. Several changes are proposed for the existing contributing resource, including the addition of a new front dormer, expansion of the front porch, the proposed side and rear additions, changes to all of the existing fenestration, including the expansion of window and door openings, and the addition of shutters. I included in your report the relevant design guidelines references to change. Most relevant were the ones related to changing existing window and door openings, the design guidelines for new additions to existing structures, and the new construction guidelines related to the accessory dwelling. I've tried to do quite a bit of digging on this house because it was strange to me that it had the asbestos and also the two front gables. And I do think that the house is I talked to some of the neighbors on the street, and I'm trying to get in touch with the family that lived in the house for a long time. And supposedly they may have a photo, but we haven't been able to get it yet, of the house in the 40s or 50s. It seems to me that, and I included a Sanborn map that I found, which Sanborn are fire insurance maps that show the footprint of existing buildings. And we have, this house is on the 1946 Sanborn map, and I included that in your packet. It seems to me that the house was actually built around the late 30s or early 40s. And if I had to guess, the Sanborn map shows a wraparound porch. So the existing gable on the right side when you're looking at the house is shown, and then it shows a porch coming around the front and the corner of the side of the house. So I do think that the house has been highly altered over time. Yeah, thanks. So you can see there, that's Adams, and then the map actually cut off right at the end of 14th Street, so it doesn't show across the street. But you can see that dashed line would show a porch. That being said, I think that what's there now presents as a 1930s or earlier Queen Anne house. So that needs to be taken into consideration when it comes to the proposed changes, particularly to the existing portion of the main house. So that's the existing elevations. And I'll let, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about the staff report, and I'll let
I've got a
Jeremiah-
question for Mr. Wade, just to begin this process. I asked this, can you hear me, Mr. Wade?
Yeah, this is Jeremy Corcoran. Jeremiah's online as well.
I'm sorry, say your name again?
Jeremy Corcoran. I'm the architect for the Goffs.
Fine.
Jeremiah and I work together.
I see. We're glad to have you with us tonight. My first question is, and I asked the staff this, if you or your associate had been in communication with the city of Oxford during the development of these plans. And I was told that we had sent you building guidelines and construction guidelines and so forth, which perplexes me. There are major components of the plans we're looking at that makes me wonder if you read our guidelines. Did you?
Yeah, we actually did, and in reference to what Mrs. Abney said a minute ago, at least 85 to 90% of this house has been significantly altered, even the porch being taken off the corner that was shown on the Sanborn map. Every piece of this exterior material has been altered with the exception of the fish scale siding in the front gable. The roof essentially has a major sag in it, and our client's investment is what we were really worried about, and really trying to put this house back to something that was architecturally significant and a version of what would have been there before, and really trying to you know, the forms and everything are still there if you really study our drawings. The gables are there. We just added a center gable that continues the ridge line across. So, you know, nothing about the exterior of this house is original or footprint-wise. So we really did study and try to provide a product, a new house for our clients for their investment.
And can I ask,
And we're used to working,
can I ask, what is your basis for your understanding of what the original house might have been?
but we documented the house and have been all over the house, top to bottom. We've retained the exterior essential footprint of the house and the roof lines of the house. We're just proposing taking the roof off and going back with a roof that actually will hold a new roof.
I think
None of the windows are original. The front door is not original. And as the Sanborn map said, we had a wraparound porch. We were just doing it across the front.
Well, let me ask you this. If you know what was there originally, are you suggesting that what you're proposing to build conforms with what was there originally?
We're proposing something that would have been historically accurate to what would have been there.
We really can't hear you. You're sort of garbled.
We're proposing going back with materials and windows and doors and quality materials that would have originally been on a structure of this age and character.
How long does it look like this?
Well, you know, this is a contributing structure in our historic district, and it was designated as a historic, as a contributing structure. In what year would that have been, staff?
We resurveyed in 2019.
The
survey was done in 2019.
In 2019 is when the most recent survey was done. I would tell you that I, for one, would like to see the documentation to establish that what you're proposing is in any way similar to what the original house would have been.
I agree with that.
I mean, if you've got documented evidence that what you're proposing is similar or even inspired by the original house, we would welcome that. But at this point, you know, the fenestration, a word that I see in the staff report, you know, is jarring when compared to what the house appears to be right now. The size of the windows, dormers, additional dormer on the front. I mean, it's a radical change from the existing house.
It is a radical change from the existing house material-wise, but what I'm saying is we're putting back, the same forms of this house are there.
Well, again, I would say that we can make this a simple conversation. We're going to need to see whatever documentation you have to establish the fact that you're returning this house to an original appearance. Because, you know, we're following guidelines that are in place to preserve historical character, rhythm, flow, size, style in this historic district. And certainly beginning with the front facade of the house, I don't even see basically the house as it stands today on North 14th Street in your plan.
Okay.
And we can talk about the carriage house as well. I think to get permission for that, you're going to have to appear before the Planning Commission, because that's not in our purview, but the design of the carriage house is in our purview. And I'm struck by particularly the west facade of the house, which is very visible since this house is located on a corner. The west facade of the carriage house is very visible when you're on Adams Street headed east. And it just, to me, seems very, very out of character with the neighborhood in which you're proposing to build it. But that's another subject, and that would be one that we would consider when your proposal comes to us as an official COA. But that's
Can you tell us what would be in character of what is not as here? It's the same forms of the house.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Can you give us some?
Well,
tell us what you would do.
no,
I mean,
the simple answer is
same forms of the house.
the simple answer is I would think the carriage house, the architectural style of the carriage house would complement the architectural style of the primary house. And a big question is what the architectural style of the primary house will be. So it's kind of hard to answer your question of what I think it should be. And again, that's not really our responsibility to suggest what a style should be. But I do think it would complement the primary house. And the primary house design, I think, is what is in question here. I welcome other commissioners. I didn't really mean to grab the microphone and hold on to it for so long, but I would welcome other comments.
Well, I think if the guidelines have been sent to the applicant and he's reviewed them, then I feel like the product that we're looking at right now does not fit in with our guidelines. So I would think that the best thing the applicant could do is go over those, get a feel for the neighborhood and what blends in and what goes along with our guidelines. And that way, when it's presented back to us, we'll have a starting point for a better conversation.
This is Stacy Goff. I'm the owner that Jeremy's working with. If I could, I'd maybe make one point and just ask a question. As far as the last point there on the other structures in the neighborhood, we obviously have been in the neighborhood, looked at what has been done there, and I think on 14th Street specifically, and even a block away on 15th Street, it's a very, very mixed bag of new structures, structures that do look like they've been, or they probably haven't been renovated, so they look more historic. So I take the point that you're making about the look of the house compared to what you see, look at when you see it today. I do think we tried to be respectful of the footprint of the house that's there. I think one of the challenges that we have is, even though it doesn't look like it from the exterior, this house is not in good condition. Particularly the roof is not in good condition. The floor is warping in places, so it needs investment. And I'm afraid it's going to be significant investment, but that's fine. But it's just a challenge of trying to balance the need for that investment against, having something at the end that on the outcome that justifies it. So, I mean, we want to be respectful, but what I fear is if we're in a place where, essentially this house has to look exactly the same on the outside as it does today, then I think it's hard to make that investment. I think that's not good for the long-term integrity of that structure. And I do think in that neighborhood that, there has been a lot of work done on a lot of structures, including building, some new houses that have been built. So we'll take the feedback, but it's hard to try to figure out how you navigate through those two needle holes of the rules with the condition of the house.
And I do understand your confusion about looking around the neighborhood, but what you need to know also is some of those homes were built on unfinished lots, part of a parking lot for example, so that's new construction. We're dealing here with something that contributes to the Historical Preservation Commission that we are a part of. And we are governed by certain guidelines and rules. And as much as we appreciate the work that you've put into this, it does not go along with what we are required to rule on. So if you do have paperwork or drawings or photos that can show something from the past of this house, like Commissioner Garner asked, then we look forward to seeing that. That's something that we would entertain and really look for. But other than that, I think that what we need to do is have you go back to ground zero, and let's work together, and you can work with the committee that is here for you, Ben Requette. He'll be glad to help you in any questions that you have, but I think our hands are tied right now under the guidelines that we have to follow.
Well, understood, and we'll go back and look at it. I do fear, for this house, and it's a cute little house, and it is a beautiful neighborhood. I fear that the way this triangulates is that a place like this just becomes student housing over time, because you can't afford to make it anything else.
Do any other commissioners have any comments they'd like to make?
I would strongly urge separating repairs of any structural issues with finished details on the house, A, and B, I would always go back to the facade and start there. It's a radical departure, and if it was in the spirit of or looked very similar to what's there now, I think that would be a really big starting point with this commission.
And if you read, when you read the guidelines, you will see that this commission does not insist on, absolute replication of an existing structure. That's not what we're after, but appropriate changes to a structure, to the visible parts of the structure. And you've got a challenge here because the house is located on a corner and is completely visible from two sides and is approached from a number of directions.
Hey, Jack, along those lines, I'd like to make a comment from staff standpoint.
This is the city planner that is speaking now.
The carriage house, in looking at the placement of the carriage house in proximity to the adjacent structure to the west, I do believe that it does protrude considerably further than the existing accessory structure is. And I think it does have an impact to the rhythm of the street. And to your point of, being on a corner lot and its visibility, I do think that it changes the feel of that neighborhood. So that's something.
Strikes me as intrusive.
I think so
That's a
too.
good word.
Yeah, where accessory structures are usually intended to be back. If you look at, I think some that are in, nearby, I think they sit on the back portion of the lots, and they're, it's difficult because it is a corner lot, but all the more reason to pay attention to those details.
The house is in a fishbowl. It's just, it is.
The fact is your design is very attractive. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, all four sides, and the carriage house perhaps also. But that's not what we are concerned with, but rather the integrity of the existing house and the compliance with construction guidelines. So, do you have any other questions for us?
I don't believe we do. I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you very much as well. And our staff, Kate Kenwright, I'm sure is available to you at any time to help sort of go back through some of these points that have been made at this meeting and give you responses to questions you might have about what options might be available to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There are no more items on our agenda. Does anybody have any other business they'd like to bring before the commission? If not, is there a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? We're adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That was like chewing